Hey everybody, Sean Dotson here with the flip side. It's September 22nd, 2018, and this is your weekend update. So just want to say hi to everybody and get set up. If I get some feedback or something here, I'll have to take care of that. Hey, Jimmy Fast, Britt Chaser, how are you guys doing? How's the weather out there in the UK, my brother from another mother across the pond? Hey, Sean, how are you doing? Cheers to everybody. I'm once again down here at the Three Rivers Brew Distillery in Farmington, New Mexico. I'm kind of sitting on the couch today. You know, maybe I feel like I need a therapy session after all this talk of what versus where warm water salt. So, hey, just real quick, just want to do a little administrative note for everybody. It's as much as I watch YouTube and the forums, there's always the chance that I'm going to miss something or, accidentally, not talk about somebody. And it's never my intention to purposely, overlook somebody. So, throughout the course of the week, if there's a video that you have caught, that you think is really important that you'd like to talk about, by all means, make sure you email me. Shoot me an email. I mean, it's very easy. My screen name on most of the forums is Sean NM. So, and you just have to remember that. So it's Sean NM, the abbreviation for New Mexico, at hotmail.com. So if there's something that you think is really important that you'd really like me to talk about, or you yourself have put out a video or a very important, what you think is comment on one of the forums, man, shoot me an email. I'd love to see some of that stuff and then talk about it. It's no different than what we're trying to do at this roundtable. It's really, this weekend update is really a chance to talk about, pretty much everything that's going on in the, the Fenn community. So, man, if there's something that you think is important, you want me to talk about it, shoot me an email, SeanNM at hotmail.com. And, if I think it's noteworthy and it's important, man, I'll definitely talk about it and I'll give you a plug if you want, absolutely. So, guys, today is the end of summer, supposedly. So, no one has reported, or Forrest hasn't reported the treasure being found. So, again, it was a gut feeling, guys. Again, maybe there's a few more hours. You still got a few more, hours to get out there and try and find this thing. Or maybe somebody's found it and they're waiting their 30 days. Who knows? But, again, like I said, when I was on Toby's show back in March of this year, and my interpretation of the gut feeling is that it was just based on instinct and intuition, no sort of proof or anything. Of course, we were talking about the instinct and intuition of the man or the architect of this whole, chase. But again, it was not based on, fact. It was just an intuition. Whether that intuition was many people were, zeroing in on the correct general area, or somebody had given them a solve that, got them correctly the first few clues or something. So hopefully there's not too much washout, guys. There's a big panel of windows out here in front of me and cars are driving by on Main Street. And so who cares? You just want to hear what I want to say. You don't want to look at my ugly mug. So I'm going to say hi to some people. Cheers to everybody in the chat room. I'm going to lean forward here and say hi to everybody real quick before we get rolling into this. So I said hi to Jimmy Fast and Britt Chaser and Sean Martinez. Finding the Chest, I think that's a new name I haven't seen, but hello to you. Donald Baldridge, that's a new name. Donald, how are you? And welcome to the channel. Hopefully you subscribe. Anon. We've had you on here several times. How are you? Ben Downing from Colorado Springs. My search partner, David Kramer. How are you, David? Off Trail Jaeger, I should say. Sorry. That's a new name. Welder for Hire. That's a new in the chat room, but I know I've seen you post on Harry's channel and a couple others. Buddy Allen, my deer in the headlights brother. How are you doing, buddy? Who else we got? Journeyman. Hey, Journeyman. We had probably the best, roundtable response. Good job from you. So, yeah, just saying hi to you guys. I hope you guys are having a great part of your weekend. And hopefully I'm not disturbing your college football, fanatics out there. All right. So enough of all this other talk. Let's get right into this, guys, because that's what you're here for. You're here to kind of get the update of what happened during this week and, in both in YouTube and hopefully in the forums. So let's start right off. And I want to first start off talking about Arrowhead Junction. And I haven't had much of a chance to talk about Joe and his channel because a lot of times, he's put out some good stuff, but then he immediately, it goes away. So I'm like, oh man, come on, Joe, leave your stuff up there so I can talk about it, because if I'm going to talk about it, I want to provide the links for the viewers to go watch it. But if you take it off there, man, that's perfectly your choice to do it. But if you're going to take it down, I can't talk about it, because then everybody's going to be like, well, what? Well, Sean, I don't see it here. But, this last couple of days, he put out what he called the Confessions of a Forrest Fenn Treasure Hunter. And, I joked with Joe about it being, an interpretation of Colonel Kurtz, from Apocalypse Now, if you're familiar with that movie. And I think, maybe that was Joe's intent with that. And we kind of laughed about that back and forth. But go watch it. It's really good. He talks about his search adventures in Yellowstone. And I thought it was great. I loved the way he did it, the style he did it. He put out some, a little bit of roast and kind of jokes in there. And that's fun. I like that. And he had a good time with it. He did put out a part 2. Joe, I have not had a chance to watch your part 2, but I will go back and watch it. The Saturday mornings I like to spend with my kids, so I try and get everything prepped for the weekend update on Friday night after the kids go to bed, and then Saturday morning is my time to spend with the kids and stuff before I do the weekend update. So, Joe, I haven't got a chance to go watch your part 2, but I will go back and watch it. So there is 2 parts, guys, and it will be in the link in the description below. I did not get a chance this morning to put all the links in, but I will put them in. But great job, Arrowhead Junction. We like it. A lot of fun. It's definitely something different, so keep it up. And then I want to talk about our friend Adventurer. And Adventurer hadn't put out a video in a while, but he did. Again, he's taken some of his videos down. But Adventurer did put out a video this week saying that he was going to start a new Forrest Fenn podcast. And if you're not familiar with what a podcast is just audio. And you can download them. And I think he said he was going to upload it to Apple, so you'll be able to download them from there. I think it's a different way of doing it, because in his video, he talks about, in his job or whatever, he does a lot of traveling in his vehicle. And so, it's a good opportunity that he likes to do is just listen to a lot of the videos. So he's just going to do a podcast. It's different than YouTube and stuff. And I give him props for that idea and doing that. So, definitely go over, subscribe to his channel, and then hopefully we'll get some updates, some adventure when he does actually start his podcast, and then we can go subscribe to that. I think you have to download them. There may be a subscription fee or something associated with that. And hopefully we'll get some more details from Adventure on that, but definitely something I look forward to. And it's a new avenue. Great. I give him some props for coming up with a different idea. Go for it, brother. I'll support you. Next, we're going to jump into a Gypsy's Kiss. And a Gypsy's Kiss this week, obviously, their Tuesday and Wednesday shows were kind of tied into one another. And they were about how to find Forrest Fenn's treasure in 1,000 years. And it wasn't, I think Toby admits to the fact that, he wasn't trying to say that, okay, this is only meant to be found in 1,000 years. It's just like, Forrest Fenn, when creating this, and my thoughts are when creating this hunt, he had to think 1,000 years down the future, because if it wasn't found, in a year, 10 years, or 100 years, it had to last the test of time. And that test of time is, could it last 1,000 years? And Toby admits to going in there because Forrest Fenn, when he originally released his memoir, he released it only 1,000 copies. He dropped it off, in a very obscure bookstore in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And if you haven't watched my video titled, what did I title it? Now I can't remember my own videos, but it was about, message in a bottle. And I have a video, and you can look it up on my YouTube channel. And it kind of goes into that, where he kind of, abandoned his memoir in a very obscure bookstore, kind of like one casts out a message in a bottle into the ocean, hoping that somebody at some point in time would receive it and either know what happened to them or maybe be able to find them. So I like Toby's thoughts on this, but, his Tuesday show was about that with him and Shelley. And then, Wednesday, he kind of expanded on that with his panel and stuff like that. So definitely did a good job in that. So go check out those 2 shows. I think Toby does a great job with it. Then Thursday this week, he had his book club, again, on the different chapters in the book, and we're all familiar with those. And then this Friday, he had the 12th iteration of It's All About You. And of course, I think this is the very best one, because it was with one of my good friends, DeCall Thomas. And we really got to know DeCall Thomas a little bit better, got to know what he does, a little bit of his background, who he is, and a lot about his solve and how he's gone about this whole thing. So just a great It's All About You with, my good friend DeCall Thomas. So if you haven't watched that, you definitely need to go watch that and, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to Toby's channel if you haven't, but also go and check out DeCall Thomas's channel, subscribe to it, and watch some of his videos on his solution. He's one of the very few that have published his complete solve, and he's very confident in that. I mean, you can't pull DeCall off his 800-foot salamander. We know that, but cheers to you, brother D, if you're out there. Hey, Lori James, I see you in there. I see Illinois Ghost is in there. Goldilocks, how are you? Good to see you in there. I've got to see your video. Obviously, you posted to the the round table. Appreciate that. Good job. Who else jumped in there? Everybody's just talking amongst themselves. Cherokee Buffalo, I see you're in there too. Cherokee Buffalo, one of the few news, members of our closed group of the flip side of Forrest Fenn's Treasure Hunt over on Facebook. So I want to say hi to Cherokee Buffalo. So next, now we've kind of got through AGK, but AGK this week did state that they will be starting I forgot to talk about their Friday night show. They also did a 7 o'clock Friday night show called Fandango. I don't know. He's posted in his video title is Fandango. I don't know, but if he's calling it Fandango, I'm not sure. Toby, maybe you can clarify on that. But he's doing a Friday night show. But I guess there's rumor too that Toby's going to do a Saturday show where he's just kind of repeating, some of his shows, kind of like a live rebroadcast of some of his shows that have previously happened, but allowing the chat so people can chat in there too. Different idea. Before we know it, we're going to have a show every week of the day, day of the week for Toby's show. We'll see. So cheers. Kind of like sitting back in this couch is actually a lot more comfortable. See, any other subscriber, if you guys are close to my area, come over here, sit on the couch with me. I keep messing with Journeyer. We've talked back and forth about, possibly me going up to Ska Brewery there in Durango, because I believe she's in Durango, or her coming down here, and maybe there's a nice seat right here for you, Journeyer. Come on down. We'll chat together. Bring a headset, and we can figure out how to make this happen. Hey, DeCall's in here. Hey, brother DeCall, my brother from another mother out in Vegas. How are you? Okay, so we're going to move on to Bill Gorman, Wild Bill Gorman, the big mammoth in the room, we like to call him. But this week he did do a few videos. One, he started off actually doing one called, Out of the Box, and then we completely interrupted him because I was trying to invite him into our encore. And guys, you got to understand what the encore is. The encore is a show that we do immediately after the after hours party, and then we just randomly invite some people, friends and stuff into the show, and it becomes private. So it's you can watch it live, but then we don't rebroadcast it live on YouTube. It just stays private. So it's something that we just have a good time. We cut it up a little bit more and have fun with those that stick around. It's kind of like those Easter eggs at the end of a movie if you watch all the credits and you come back for. Just kind of fun. We started doing it as a joke, but it's become pretty popular, and we're just having fun with it. And David and I are kicking a new idea around about the whole after party show, just to kick it up a notch and have some fun. But we totally interrupted Bill Gorman because I sent him the invite to come in there. So it was a lot of fun. Bill Gorman got to join us on the encore. We got to have fun with him and talk with him a little bit. But give props to Bill Gorman coming in there and having fun with us. And he was smoking his peace pipe, folks. So that was a lot of fun. You never know. I don't know what Bill Gorman had in his peace pipe that night, but props to you, Bill. A lot of fun, man. But he did do a couple of videos this week. One called Amazing Blaze and another one called The Mammoth Arc. So if you're a big fan of Bill Gorman, definitely go check out. He's got some interesting thoughts, and some wild ideas. And Bill Gorman's just having fun, just like the rest of us. So he's fun to listen to, and he's just got an interesting take on everything. We enjoy listening to Bill. And you never know. You guys stick around for the encore. We might get Bill Gorman back in there and get to talk on. A lot of fun. I'm kind of trying to watch the chat while I'm sitting back here, but the computer's kind of far away. It's hard to. So what is chair? Unfortunately, we got one here from David Kramer. If I sat on the couch, I'm afraid you would play with my knee. David, you're a sexy man. I might play with your knee, brother. I can't guarantee what's going to happen if you sit on this couch next to me. Not that there's anything wrong with that, folks. Cheers. So now I want to talk about our friends Sasha and Jason with Fenn Treasure Hunters. This week, they obviously did their 2 shows. They do a show on every Saturday at 7 p.m. called Saturdays with Sasha. So they did do a show with Saturdays with Sasha, and they do very well of chatting with the the chat room and taking questions and then going along those questions. I think they do a great job with that, and I give them props because it's a little bit different than what everybody else is doing. Here at the flip side and after party, we kind of, sometimes we do a really good job of ignoring you guys, and you guys do a really good job of ignoring us and just doing your own thing. But Sasa and Jason and in their, special guests and stuff they have, and they do a really good job of kind of, segueing off of the chat room, and they do a great job with it, and I give them a lot of props. But this week they also did their Tuesday show, and they had Matt Maisano, who was the documentary that put together the documentary Fenn Searchers. And if you haven't gone to Amazon yet and watched this, I plan on watching. I have not watched it yet. I'm very interested in watching Sasha and James Golden, who is Fundamental Design, and watching their adventures and their interpretations of the clues and stuff. So I look forward to watching that, and I will watch it, and I'll give you guys my interpretation of it. I don't want to become a video. I guess maybe I am a video commentary. I don't know. They call it like Ed. What was it? What was that old show with the 2 guys? Bert and Ernie or whatever they were. And I'm not talking about Men Are So Smart, which we haven't heard from in a while. But Ed Siskel and Bert, whatever, those 2 film critics or whatever. Maybe we got to do a film critic show. I don't know. But yeah, they did a show with Matt Maisano and the Fenn Treasure Hunters, and I know Sasha's very close with Matt and knows him very well. But very good show with them. And if you're interested in hearing more about that, I would definitely go watch their Tuesday show. And this evening at 7:00, p.m. Mountain Standard Time, they will be doing their Saturdays with Sasha. So definitely go check that out, guys. And if you're not already subscribed to their channel, please go over there, subscribe to their channel, and give them some likes on their videos. They do a great job. It takes a lot of effort to put some of these videos together, and for somebody to put themselves out there, we ought to, give them, the time and subscribe and like them if you don't. If you don't like them, there's another thing too. You can give them a thumbs down. I tell everybody that too. Usually I get 2 thumbs down before we even start this thing. So that's okay. We appreciate those people that give thumbs down as well too. We'll see you guys next week just as well. Next is Fox Gaming. Joe Fox, he put out a video this week titled Partnership and Teams in the Forrest Fenn Treasure Hunt. So, and he goes into detail on the plus and minuses of that, and so a good job by Joe Fox of putting it out there. And Joe, you need to create your own channel and stop sponging off your son's channel. Have your son show you how to put together your own, and title it something that's like Forrest Fenn or something. That'll really help you out if you're interested in doing that. As far as getting more subscribers and views, I'll keep plugging your channel and hopefully get some people sent over to you and subscribe to you, because I think Joe's got some really good thoughts, and he is one of the people that did put out a roundtable this week, so I give him some props, for going out of his way to put that together. So next, I want to move on to Man Alone. And Man Alone this week, we haven't heard from Man Alone in a while, but he did put out actually 3 videos this week centered around the Forrest Fenn treasure hunt. Cheers. Yes, folks, I have a backup. I'm going to put that one right over here on the couch with me. Hopefully not spill it. There we go. I'm an expert in that. But Man Alone did put out 3 videos this week. One titled Forrest Fenn, End of the Summer. Another, In It for the Mystery. And then the third, I didn't write it down. No, he did put it. Well, the third one was about, Forrest Fenn, where, how, and why. So he did put out 3 videos. In the first one, Forrest Fenn, End of the Summer, he was talking about, here it is, the end of the summer. The treasure hasn't been found yet, of course, which is, we all know. But he went into depth about talking about, people see hints everywhere. And the fact that, they're seeing hints in all 3 of the books, that people, maybe leaving stuff out there as decoys, that means people carving FFs and, in the, in trees or in rocks, or people leaving coins out there, people leaving flags out there, Jason, Sasha, right? But it makes me wonder, was Man Alone the one who asked the whole decoy question? I don't know, maybe. And then he goes into talking about looking for other treasures. He is a metal detectorist. He likes to go out there and search for other things. We know he hasn't actually put a boots on the ground, and that's okay. He wants to feel very confident in the fact that he's nailed down the first clue before he ever goes out there. I respect that. But he just goes into the fact that it is at the end of the summer. A lot of people have left other things out there that could be potential decoys, and that people see hints and everything. In all the books, and there's other treasures out there to look for, guys. So I respect that a little bit, and I agree with the fact that people do. We all tend to see hints and everything when we go down these complete rabbit holes. So I agree with him on there. But then he put out a video titled "In It for the Mystery," and in there he questions. And this is one question he poses to everybody in there. He says, "How do you stand a chance of finding it if you won't entertain all of the information?" And I kind of thought that was a little bit of a contradiction by Man Alone, because in one video, the prior video, he's saying, everybody sees hints in everything, that, everybody sees hints in all three of the books. And that's just going down these rabbit holes. And then he turns around and tells us, how can you stand a chance of finding this thing if you won't consider all the information? And I thought that was a bit of contradiction. And for me, I look at it and I go, okay, well, Man Alone, for me, Forrest Fenn has provided us with all the evidence, and all that evidence is, in my opinion, you could say is totally encapsulated in the singular book, The Thrill of the Chase. And for me, even more as what I consider a poem purist, I look at just 166 words in the poem. That is all the evidence that he's provided us. Again, like he says, "So I wrote a poem containing 9 clues that, if followed precisely, will lead to the end of my rainbow and the treasure, : and then we have the 9 sentences or the entire poem, however you want to look at it. That is, to me, in my opinion, is all the evidence we need. It's, again, like I've talked about, Edgar Allan Poe created the mystery novel, one in which, the reader, much like the detective in the novel, had all the information they needed to solve the mystery. So that in going back, at the end, when the actual solution is revealed, they can go back and go, oh, crap, I had all the information I needed to solve this thing the whole entire time. So, I mean, it is possible that when somebody finds this, they're going to go back and look at the poem and go, crap, I had all the information I needed the whole time. And that was just the poem. So for me, Man Alone, hold on. Cheers to everybody. I see your post there, Jason. I'll hit on that in a sec. It's good that you're not leaving flags out there. I'm glad that you've iterated that. Maybe you didn't. I didn't get that in your previous video, but anyway. Now, so again, I think that all that information is totally encapsulated in that poem. So, if we're me, I'm a trying to eliminate all the noise kind of guy. Again, I cannot block out those things that I previously understood and learned throughout my Thrill of the Chase before I became what I deem as a poem purist. So I can't block all that stuff out. I still use it as what I call checks and balances or ballast to make sure that I'm remaining, within that box that Forrest Fenn has provided us. So, yeah, I mean, I don't want to go out there trying to chase down too many rabbit holes. To me, that's all the information. So we're trying to look at all the information, and that goes into his whole third video where Man Alone talks about, Forrest Fenn, where, how, and why. And if you go back and you watch that video, it appears to me, and this is just my opinion, that Man Alone has made an assumption that Forrest Fenn created this whole hunt as a marketing scheme. Now, that may be right. Forrest Fenn, I agree with Man Alone that Forrest Fenn is a salesman. And as a salesman myself, I know it is all about marketing and doing your best to sell your product. Now, if his product is just him trying to sell his whole legacy, then sure, I might agree with you, Man Alone. But again, there is a treasure out there, and we are trying to find this. And if you don't believe there's a treasure out there and this is all a hoax and a marketing scheme, then man, go back to metal detecting. Maybe this whole thing isn't for you. But if you choose to believe that this is a hunt for a 10-inch buck somewhere out there in the Rocky Mountains, then let's stop looking at all the negative stuff and all the what ifs as it relates to this is just a marketing scheme. and then move on to something else. I choose to believe that this is, like I said in my initial video, that this is not a hoax, that there is an actual treasure out there. And I'm not saying that Man Alone believes that this is a complete hoax. There's a few people that do, but I'm not saying that Man Alone believes that. And I get where Man Alone is coming from, his thoughts. I don't necessarily agree with him. So I'll move on from there. I know I talked a lot about Man Alone a lot, but it's good. I like listening to Man Alone. I think he's a pretty intelligent guy. And if I ever need advice on metal detecting, I'll go to Man Alone. But anything else, I'm going to form my own opinions on. Next, I want to talk about our friend Shannon Oots. Shannon Oots did put a video out this week titled Fenn's Bozeman Daily Chronicles. And man, I tell you, and DeCall and David and Capo and I, we've talked a lot about Shannon. She has some great analysis and she puts a lot of effort into whatever video she puts out. She may not put out a lot, but she puts a lot of effort in putting these things out. And that's why they get a lot of views, because she does a lot of good critical thinking and analysis. But she did a really good job this week of making some comparisons to those stories that Forrest Fenn put out prior to the chase. A lot of them were written and put into the Bozeman Daily Chronicle. But a lot of these stories, he's put out prior to the Thrill of the Chase, and then we end up finding these stories, whether it be in the Thrill of the Chase or Too Far to Walk. So she looked for some of the differences in those stories and the inconsistencies, and she does a very good job of doing them. That's something you're interested in. I would highly suggest you go watch her videos. Definitely subscribe to her channel if you haven't already, and give her some likes. It's great stuff. She's a very smart individual. We miss her. We loved having her on the after party. But of course, family is always a priority, and you got to do what's best for you. So Shannon, we love your video. Great job. Great analysis as always. Keep them up, and we look forward to hearing more from you. Lastly, I want to talk about Rambling Pam, our good Mellow Yellow fellow searcher. This week, she put out a video titled More on the Life of Joseph Henry Sharp. And Pam had the opportunity when she was up there in September. Cheers to everybody. Quick. She had the opportunity to visit with Forrest Fenn at his home, and then get into a discussion with him about Joseph Henry Sharp. So great video with Pam. I would definitely highly suggest you go watch it if you're into Joseph Henry Sharp, and even if you just like Pam. She's got a great mellow yellow voice. I like to say it. She's always fun to listen to. Her videos always have some great scenery of her and her travels. So I always love watching her videos. And if you haven't already subscribed to her channel, I highly suggest you go over, subscribe to her channel, and give her some likes as well. Great job. So it wasn't, as far as in the Fenn tubers, putting out videos, there was a few Fenn tubers we normally get a lot of stuff from. We didn't get from this week. So not a whole lot to talk about in there. So I just want to go into my my opinion piece a little bit, and that's going to center around this. And this is where, if you don't want to hear my opinion, all you wanted to hear about is, the stuff that was out there. This is where you can shut it off and you can move on. So I really quick just want to go into my opinion piece, which is going to center around this new content that, we kind of put together, which is called the Thrill of the Chase Roundtable. And, I decided to come up with the first topic, which is, we all know that the most important thing is to figure out, where warm waters halt. So I posed the question to everybody, what versus where? And my whole thing was I wanted to get people's interpretation of what they thought was more important. Is it more important to determine what warm waters halt is or where warm waters halt is? And, I wasn't shocked by the amount of videos that came out. I think we had 22, including my own, that came out. What I was really shocked was the amount of people that have never, ever put out a video actually put one out. And I want to give some props to some of those people. So let me open up my page here and find it where I put it. But out of the 22 videos that we got, on this subject in the roundtable, we actually had 8 people that have never put out a video before. So I would actually, that's what surprised me, was the amount of people that did that. So I just want to give some of these people some props. And the first person who actually put out a video was our good friend Chris Bettles from Australia, who we had on the Flipside after party this week. And we know we were expecting that Chris was going to have some some Wi-Fi issues because he was out on the road. I think he was in Portland at a campground that he talks about in our video. But Chris Bettles from all the way from Australia put out a video. Great guy. We had a lot of fun with Chris this week, and Jules, you know, his girlfriend that's traveling with him on their 11-week journey here in the United States, something he's planned like 4 or 5 years for. So I'm awesome. And I keep putting the challenge out to Chris to, you know, give us some updates on his trip, you know, go over to the Hint of Riches, you know, start a thread or whatever, put out some pictures and some videos, you know, telling us where he's been and everything. But another person that we had never seen before was a searcher by the name of Rob Johnson. And he put out a good, you know, his whole roundtable discussion, which kind of centered around Eric Sloan connections and stuff. So, and he was a new searcher, or not, I'm not saying a new searcher. I think he's been in for like 3 or 4 months, but he had never put out a video before. I thought that that was great. Sir Crow, which a lot of us know, put out a video, never put out a video before. So great job. Journeyman has put out a couple other videos before, not so much Thrill of the Chase really. I think he had one other out there that I talked out of before about the base of Aquafria there on the Red River, but he put out, which I thought was probably one of the funniest ones. I don't want to give it away, you know, go check it out. Redneck Express did put out a video. I don't know what happened. He did pull it down for whatever reason. Redneck, I would hope that you would go back and repost it, but that's your option. If you want to choose to pull it down, that's completely yours, and I respect that. But Redneck Express is one of the few that did put out a new video. Goldilocks, who is in the chat room today, who I saw is in here, she did put out her video, and it made me miss the coast. I'm originally from the West Coast, and she had the ocean. I don't know if she's West Coast or East Coast, but she did have the ocean on there, and it made me miss home in a sense. So thank you, Goldilocks, for making me miss home. But she did put out a video, you know, a brand new, I hate to call YouTuber because we don't know, or FinTuber because we don't know if she's going to put out more videos. But again, somebody that had never put out a video before. Great. Alan Kelly, who we've known for a long time in our chat rooms, both on AGK, Fenn Treasure Hunter, you know, even Bill Gorman, you know, he's been in the chat rooms. So great, Alan Kelly, you know, first time putting out a video. So congrats to see him out there too, and some great thoughts. Dale Richards actually put out one. We know Dale has put out some videos too, but you know, hadn't heard from him in a while, and it was great to see him too. So we had, you know, several new people that have never put out a video before put out some videos. So I was really surprised by that. Great. But then we had others, you know, that did put out videos. We had AGK obviously put out. And Toby, you are in the penalty box. You owe us 2 minutes and 34 seconds because you went over the 5 minutes. So you got to cut your intro and your outro and all that stuff and narrow it down, buddy. But AGK did put out theirs. I was hoping to see one from Shelly. We want Shelly's opinion. A lot of times I like Shelly's opinion more than I like Toby. So Shelly, where are you? Put your video out. Come on. DeCall, our good friend DeCall Thomas did put out his. Joe Fox with Fox Gaming did put one out. Our good friend Sean Martinez with Figuring Out Forrest, who's in here today, did put out his video. And he actually put out 2 of them because he got a response from Forrest Fenn about that, which I think Forrest Fenn had told him to go back to the poem where I said, where warm waters halt. So very interesting. You can make your own interpretations of that, but great that Sean actually got a response and posted a second video. Our good friend Jason Dent, who I know is in the chat room, he did put out a video where I thought he was going to do this whole Matrix, you know, Morpheus, you know, take the red or the blue pill and go down the rabbit hole. But very interesting. He did a very interesting video. Bill Gorman did put out his interpretation, which was kind of comical. I don't want to give it away, but go check out his video. IG, Illinois Ghost, who's in the chat room, actually put out a video as well. Our good friends K-Pro and Kalazars did a collaboration between the 2 of them, which I thought was different and interesting. So good job from both of them. RF Hecky, Susie, she put out a video as well. It was great. I like to call her my wino auntie. She put out a video as well. It was great to see hers. Shannon Oots did put out a video as well, driving down the road. Good job. Sasha Johnston, you know, from Fenn Treasure Hunters, put out her video as well, where she got to use glue. I don't want to give it away. She had a map up and she used glue. Very interesting way of doing it. A little thinking out of the box. Good job from Sasha. Blaze of Glory, Eric Hull did put out his interpretation as well. And last but not least, Joe Lewicki also put out a video. So it was great to hear. And most of everybody that put out their videos was really, you know, focused on they believe that what warm waters halt was more important than, you know, where warm waters halt was. And again, it's kind of like I said in my video, you know, sure, it's kind of like the blaze. We can all have an idea of of what we believe the blaze is, whether that be a mark on a tree, a mark on a rock, a large geographical feature, or even the trail of clues that lead us to the end of his rainbow. But we probably won't know what, the blaze is for certain unless we are in the correct general area or the correct place. A place is very synonymous with the word where. Where is defined as a specific place or region or defined point. Now, I don't know I'm getting that exactly right, but that's pretty close to it. So, and I went into a lot of interpretations of where, and I'll read some of these if I could pull it up. Let's see. And I'll share my screen here so you guys can see this. Hold on, let me pull this up really quick, guys. Takes me a second to transition. I can share my desktop for everybody. Okay, so this is a website. I don't know if everybody can see it here, but this is a website called ForrestFennTreasure.com, and you can go look this up for yourself. And I kind of copy paste this into the Hint of Riches and also over on my Facebook channel. But here's a lot of interpretations or quotes that Forrest Fenn has said. And the first one here you can read. It says, all this cyberspace verbiage is conspicuous by the absence of talk about where warm waters halt. Another one is, you need to start at the beginning. You need to figure out where warm waters halt. You have to know where warm waters halt. You'll never find it that way. You need to start at the beginning. You need to figure out where warm waters halt. And again, then the one response, here, there are a few words in the poem that are not useful in finding the treasure fill, but it's risky to discount any of them. You oversimplify the clues. There are many places in the Rocky Mountains where warm waters halt, and nearly all of them are north of Santa Fe. Look at the big picture. There are no shortcuts. And then there's the one, if you don't know where warm waters halt, you don't have anything. And one other that I found that I knew was out there, and I see somebody who was hinting at it, and this thing up here is not allowing me to pull it up. Let's see if I can grab it. I did a stop share. Let me pull this up. Give me one sec, guys. A little short technical difficulty. Okay. And then this last one here, this one comes out of Terry Scant. You can kind of see it in the middle here, and I'll read it for you guys. But if you do a search under learn, you can find this on Terry Scant by looking up this one keyword here. Progressively, it's easier for you to find. But this comes from an EIS radio interview, which was a collaboration of a lot of different, snippets and stuff. And it came out in 2013. And I'll read it verbatim here, and then I'll really emphasize what I think is important. But Fenn responds in this EIS interview with something that a lot of people claim as Forrest Fenn's best advice. And I'm not going to disagree with those people. But Fenn says, yeah, I have some advice. Read the book and then study the poem over and over. Read it over and over. Maybe even memorize it. He's talking about the poem. And then go back and read the book again, looking for hints that are in the book that are going to help you with the clues that are in the poem. That's the best advice I can give. And he says, and this is what I want to emphasize, you have to find out. You have to learn where the first clue is. They get progressively easier after you discover where the first clue is. I'll leave that up for a second. So he's saying you have to learn where the first clue is. Now, in that same year, we know from the New Zealand video, he says the first clue is begin it where warm waters halt. So if he's telling us you have to learn where the first clue is, then we know that the first clue is obviously in the poem. So it's not like trying to figure out where in the poem it is, because he's told us where in the poem it is. So we have to learn where the first clue is. So he's not, in all these different iterations, Forrest Fenn is not telling us, or nor has he ever told us, at least in my research, and I'm going to stop sharing this. I think there was one other thing I wanted to share here, so give me 1 second. He's never ever really told us we've got to figure out, what warm waters halt is. Now, we all assume, just like the blaze, that we've got to figure out what it is, and it's not wasted effort to try and surmise what you believe warm waters halt could be, whether that be a hot spring, whether that be a confluence of either warmly named rivers or rivers that are geothermally warm in the sense like, the Gibbons and the Firehole meeting at Madison Junction. That there's nothing wrong with doing that, but then to assume for a fact that that is the correct place where warm waters halt, then you're going to build the whole foundation of your soil based on an assumption of what you think it is. When I think that it's a little bit backwards, that it could be where warm waters halt, not necessarily what warm waters halt is. I know it sounds completely backwards, but it does seem completely backwards when we look at this one featured question, with Forrest Fenn, and this is dated July of 2014. I know you guys can see this and can probably read it from yourself. But Forrest Fenn, and this is, a couple of the questions between Steve R. and Phil Bayman that, was what I believe was somewhat of my epiphany. Cheers to everybody. I can't see the chat room right now, so I don't know what you guys are talking about. But the question goes, and you can read it. Dear Forrest, you tell us that we should find where warm waters halt before trying to solve any of the other clues. Imagining that we haven't seen the rest of the poem, and all we have to go on is this. A, begin at where warm waters halt, and B, somewhere in the mountains north of Santa Fe. And the question from Steve is, do you think that we can confidently determine the starting place for your treasure trail? Steve. And Forrest Fenn responds, no, if all you have to go on are those two clues, you cannot proceed with confidence. Look at it this way. If you were making a cake and you left out a few ingredients, would you achieve your goal? Now, we can go on and on about what we think those few ingredients are. But to me, basically, those few remaining ingredients that we have left out is, hypothetically, the rest of the poem. Could be hypothetically the remainder of that entire sentences. Again, I'm a 9 clues, 9 sentences kind of guy. So if you oversimplify the clue by shortening that sentence up to just that singular line, you're leaving out some information. You're oversimplifying the clue. You're leaving out some ingredients. You cannot, come to the, having a correctly baked cake if you're leaving out some key ingredients or some key information. And then he goes on to say, your question reminds me of another. You leave your home and walk a straight line for a mile. Turn 90 degrees left and walk a curved line for a mile and shoot a bear. Then you turn a 90 degrees left again and walk a straight line back to your home. What color is the bear? Okay. So he gives this whole synopsis and he asks you what color of the bear is. Now, kind of like the blaze or kind of like what warm waters halt could be, we could easily surmise or, in our mind infer, well, there's 3 different colors of bear. At least I can think of, unless you guys have seen a purple bear out there. We can think of a polar bear, which is white. We can think of a grizzly bear, which some people refer to as a brown bear. And then we can refer to a black bear. So we've got, and please, somebody else who's an expert in bears can probably tell me something different, but we've got 3 different colors of bears. But we can assume that, well, it's one of those 3 colors. But until we actually know where that person who left their home and walked a straight line, did all these other things, where they started out and where they are, we cannot, determine with any level of confidence what color that bear is until we figure out where that person is and where they shot that bear, right? Unless some polar bear, found his way down to, Yellowstone, or some grizzly bear found their way up to the North Pole or whatever, we cannot with any level of certainty determine what color of that bear is. So it's kind of like a backwards question. In order to find out what color the bear is, we got to find out where that guy is. That's how I kind of see this whole, I don't want to call it a debate. This whole round table is trying to determine what is more important, what warm waters halt is or where warm waters halt is. Again, Forrest Fenn has never told us we've got to figure out what warm waters halt is. It's consistently where. So to me, it is backwards, and it's hard to wrap your head around that. And I completely get it. It's not a wasted effort for you to try and figure out what they are, and then go out there like DeCall says and brute force method by checking out every single hot spring or every single confluence of geothermally fed waters or rivers that are named Warm Creek or Hot Creek or Lukewarm Creek or Aqua Fria or whatever you want to do. There's nothing wrong with that. I just think it may it may be a backwards way of doing it, and you may never have any certainty. Again, I can't prove I'm right or wrong until this thing is found, and either I find it or somebody else finds it, and they tell you that that's it. Just a different way of looking at it, folks. I can't say that it's true. Let me stop sharing here. Let me pull up the chat here. Sorry, guys. It takes a second to go back and forth. The great white bear, right? So that's kind of my opinion piece, folks. I thought that the roundtable discussion was a lot of fun. I think it's just a new way of providing some content and getting people involved. And I like it. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. I hope that it's something that we can continue to do. Again, Christy with K Pro from Thor, she did put out a thread over there on Thor, the Hint of Riches forum. Thor, I guess I'm supposed to drink now. That asking some questions, because again, I want this to be community driven. I don't want to have to sit there and put out things that I just want answers to, or things that, I think are tailored to David and I solve. I want this to be a community driven, what you guys want to know from everybody else out there. And there's a lot of people I've seen, on the other thread over there about Roundtable 1 that have provided their opinions and, oh, you should have done this and you should have done that. Great ideas, folks. If you think, that you've got some great ideas, put a video out there. Again, you don't have to show your face. You could do like RF Hickey does. You can do whatever, if you want to, your own anonymity and don't want to show that, put a video out there. Just talk it up, and then put your opinions out there. It's just a different medium. What's different about, doing videos is that it's much harder for people to misinterpret your words, because then they get the inflection, they get the pauses, they get the, all that stuff that you can't really put in the written word. The written word can be easily misconstrued. And we see how much that happens in Forrest Fenn's poem. And we all hold different interpretations. Oh, punctuation doesn't matter. This doesn't matter, blah, blah, blah. But in the video form, one, it's less likely that somebody's going to derail your train of thought, because the video is the highlight of that. And two, then people can see you. They get to know who you are, and there's no misinterpretation of what's being said. So I applaud those that have never put out videos this week in the roundtable that actually did. I thought that was great. Anyway, I know I've rambled on for a long time about this, guys, but I'm going to go to the chat room now. I'm going to try and read some of your questions, if there was any. If you do have any questions, this is time to, put the flip the whole thing so it highlights it so I can see it. If you just do flip and then don't do the rest, it doesn't highlight it, and I may overlook it, and I don't want to do that. But again, guys, I want to say one key thing before I go to the chat room. If there's something I have missed during the week, and you want to make sure that it is talked about, shoot me an email. Say, hey, Sean, did you see this video from this person, or did you see this thread over on Chase Chat or Dow's side or on Harry's or Thor? And maybe I did miss it, guys. I've got a full-time job. I've got 3 kids at home. I've got a wife and a dog that take a lot of my attention. So I can't catch everything. So I'm going to go to the chat room here and kind of catch up on what's going on. I know I saw a few highlighted things, and a lot of times, guys, what this chat room does, it does not let me go all the way back. See one from Goldilocks there. I'll come back to that. There's one from Jason about the flags. I'll come to that in a sec. Let me just go all the way up here. There's one from David. Yep, that's the one where David said I would play with his knee on the couch. So, yeah, Siskel and Ebert. Thank you, Journeyman. Yeah, I used to like watching those guys. But, man, they were always about all these fluffy ass movies, and they didn't care about everything else. It's kind of like us here at the flip side. We're kind of the I think Shannon coined it best when we first had her on. We're kind of like the misfits of the chase. You got Toby and Shelly, who are kind of like the grandparents and everything of the chase, and here we are, the misfits, non-PC, talking about everything else. Jason said, we do not leave trash, flags, or other items in our search areas. We leave it behind. Better than we found. Great. That's good to know. So yeah, I mean, Jason, when he did his search in one of his videos, he was showing that, him and Sasha put flags out, which I thought was a great idea, but ensuring that we pull that stuff up, we leave, try not to leave any trace behind, because one, I wouldn't want somebody else to come back and see where I've been searching. But also, we want to take care of our environment out there. Goldilocks says MA is judgmental, and I take issues with that since nobody knows where this is going. But apparently, yeah. Again, these videos are just for us to stress our opinion, Goldilocks. I respect Manilone's opinion. Doesn't mean I'm going to agree with him. And I'm up here on my bully puppet or whatever you want to say on my soapbox and stressing my opinions about and responding to him. And I do that with anybody. But we're all afforded our opportunity to stress our opinions, and I think that's why the round table allows us to do that, because again, the sense of the round table is the fact that everybody that sits at that table is an equal. We all are afforded our opportunity to stress our opinions, and those opinions should be equal, because none of us have any confirmations that we are right. And until one of us has that treasure chest, we can't. I mean, Manilone, no different. Manilone's never had a boots on the ground. And as much as I hate to say it's not a lack of respect, but until one person gets a boots on the ground, they themselves will understand, how big it is when you get out there. And Jason Dennis said it best, nothing ruins a perfectly good solve like boots on the ground. You get out there and you're like, holy crap, I've got to turn over every rock to try and find this thing. It's an overwhelming thing when you first get out there. And Manilone is, never been boots on the ground. He has a lot of experience and metal detecting, and I have a lot of respect for that. If I want some advice on metal detecting, he might be the first guy I go to get some advice on what kind of metal detector is best, or how do I use it? How do I tune it? Those kind of things. But for somebody that hasn't had boots on the ground, it's a different aspect. You want to talk to somebody who's had a lot of boots on the ground that can give you some honest opinions of what it's like out there, that of trying to find this thing. A big thing David and I talk a lot about is, how is this thing hidden? We've had a lot of boots on the ground, and it's very difficult when you get out there. And everybody that's had boots on the ground will admit to the fact that, man, it is overwhelming. I mean, I love not Minotaur Marino, but hold on a sec. Yeah, it was Minotaur Marino. Justin, yeah, our good friend came on the show. I mean, he goes out there and he goes to what is his blaze, and he finds, we call it the butt crack, the butthole, whatever, and we laugh about it. But man, what a thing to walk up on, and see that. That would be amazing. But it's not like that every time you go out there that you're going to find something that, significant and be that excited about it. It's not like that. Cheers to everybody. So yeah, we're all opinionated, Goldilocks. We all have our opinions. I'm me no less than anybody else. So I respect, Manilone. I may not always agree with him, but I do respect his opinion, and he puts a lot out there. Welder for hire. I believe that the what is just as important as the where, and I think you can have both. You won't be able to find the where if you don't know what the what is. Sure. I mean, you may be right. Again, it does sound backwards about the what. I do think that both of them are important. I think a couple of people had said it is kind of like the chicken or the egg. What came first? So who knows? Again, this is just a different way of looking at it. I go back and I look at all the different comments Forrest Fenn has said. Again, I don't base my solve based on all these after the fact comments. I use them as what I consider ballast or checks and balances in the system. And if Forrest Fenn keeps telling us you got to figure out where, you got where, and never what, then it is like that check and balance. Okay, maybe I need to stop trying to figure out what warm water salt is, because that's not helping me get any closer. What I need to focus on is where. Just a different way of going about it, guys. It doesn't mean it's right. It's just how David and I look at this. There's a few other that agree with that, but that's not the consensus. The consensus belief is you got to figure out what it is before you can know where it is. I don't necessarily wholeheartedly agree with that, but I could be wrong. So Zo Rocks, I don't think I said hi to you. And then Normal Steve here, I don't think I said hi to you either. Just going back to the chat room here, guys. We're coming up on an hour, and I definitely want to close this thing out. One from Brit Chaser here. I know you said you don't. I know you don't say where your search area is, but I don't think I've ever heard you talk about how convinced you are that there. you are that it's there. Are you convinced? Britt Chaser, I don't think that, David and I can be completely convinced. And we go about this all the time. We are very confident that we have the correct starting point nailed down. That there's no doubt about that. But again, there's that bit of contradiction that Forrest Fenn has kind of laid out for us, and I'm going to pull something that's completely out of, The Thrill of the Chase, and it's in Too Far to Walk. And this is in the fold out map, and it's on the backside of it, where Forrest Fenn says, I warned that the path would not be direct for those who had no certainty in the location beforehand, but sure for the one who did. And now that is like the biggest contradiction, it seems like, because Forrest Fenn always tells us that you can't know for certain that you have the first clue correct until you have the treasure chest. And then he tells us that we could have certainty beforehand. So it is like a bit of contradiction. But I believe that David and I, we are very confident that we do have the correct general area, that we are in the correct starting point. But we just haven't uncovered where the treasure is. Doesn't mean we're right. We just have a lot of confidence in where we're at. We've been in the same area since September of 2016. We haven't left that area. So yeah, those amount of searches I've had have been really centered around, that specific general area. So yeah, we are convinced, and we are set on that area, and we are not leaving that area until either we find the treasure or somebody else does. We're pretty set in that, unless some other epiphany or some other thing comes out that says, different. But we're using just, the words in the poem to come up with that. There's a lot of people that, and it could be a great round table about, the hints versus the clues. What came first, the hint or the clue? A lot of people will say that the hints point to the correct, region that Warmwater's Halt resides in. Who's to say that thought is right or wrong? I don't know. But Forrest Fenn has said the clues will point you towards the treasure. The hints will only help you out with the clues. Well, out of those 28,000 words that are in the book, how can we, with any level of certainty, point to any one thing saying, oh, this isn't exactly a subtle hint, within the book? It's like putting the cart before the horse. In my opinion, we can't do it, because how do we even know how the hints help us? Many people will say, well, it's this way. Again, it's that my confirmation bias will kick your confirmation bias's ass argument. I don't follow that. Again, it doesn't mean that those people are wrong, because they could be right. But you're not getting any confirmation or of that until you find the treasure. And that's why I hate that, words from him and Too Far to Walk, that you can have certainty beforehand. How do you get that? Could it be the hints? Sure, it could be. I don't know. I'm never, I wouldn't say I'm never, but I'm very cautious about trying to say other people are wrong, because I think that's, many people do that. Many people it's that game. My confirmation bias will kick your confirmation bias's ass, and you're wrong, I'm right. Okay, good luck. We can just agree to disagree and move on and be friends. But a lot of people would just obviously want to prove other people wrong and that themselves right. I don't understand the philosophy in that, but okay. But one thing that was kind of curious to me, and see if I can find it really quick here, and then and I'll share it with you guys. This is a little curiosity. We talk about the subtle hints in the book, or subtle clues in the book, and Forrest Fenn has told us, immediately following the poem in The Thrill of the Chase, he says there are also other subtle clues sprinkled in the stories. Now, one thing here you can see is where Phil asks this question, and then Forrest Fenn responds, no, if all you had to go on are those two clues. What two clues is Forrest Fenn talking about? Is he talking about the clue, which we know is the first clue, begin at where warm waters halt, which I believe is more than that, and then the other clue, which is somewhere in the mountains north of Santa Fe? Those are the two things. So is Forrest Fenn, by his response, by saying no, if all you had to go on are those two clues, is Forrest Fenn then confirming that the words somewhere in the mountains north of Santa Fe is one of those subtle clues that is sprinkled throughout the stories? Because that information somewhere in the mountains north of Santa Fe is wholly contained within the book. It's not in the poem. It's in the paragraph that precedes the poem, but it's not in the poem. So as Forrest Fenn, kind of by his response there, confirming that somewhere in the mountains north of Santa Fe is a subtle clue. Now, of course, he narrowed that down more by saying the Rocky Mountains, but somewhere in the mountains north of Santa Fe, those mountains that are north of Santa Fe are the Rocky Mountains. There's not much of the Rocky Mountains that are south of Santa Fe. Randy Billiou could tell you that if he was here. Cheers to Randy. Well, guys, we're right at an hour. This is obviously a lot longer than I'd like to go. Let me bring up the chat room, stop sharing here. I see another question here. So, no, that was Britt Chaser. Oh, a couple more, and we'll get through this, guys. Minotaur Marito, today is the official end of summer. What's your official state of the chase now that the summer is over? I'm probably not the best person to give you the state of the chase. I think that would be Forrest Fenn, and we have to wait till February to hear that. The search season's not over. Yeah, the end of the summer, whether that be today at midnight or whatever, it's still ongoing. Somebody could still find it today. But the search season, in my opinion, is still not over. There's no snow in Yellowstone, maybe up on the top of the peaks of Washburn or whatever, but the search season is not over. And for those, that Forrest Fenn has admitted, there's many avid searchers that are still out there searching throughout the year. That search season is still ongoing. So I hate to say that, find a warm place to hide, like Forrest Fenn says, and move on and wait till spring. The search season's not over. There's still a lot of places here in the South that are still open. Even Yellowstone, you can still get into Yellowstone. So it's still not over, guys. It's still ongoing. So I'm not going to give my state of the chase. I mean, it's not found. That's my state of the chase. I mean, we have no proof. Hope that answers your question, Minotaur. Britt Chaser, I believe in you both. Throw us a bone and tell us the state. No, again, I don't like this whole state conversation. Let's get away from, the states. Why do we keep isolating our states? Remove all the boundaries and just think the Rocky Mountains. Again, we're trying to find where warm waters halt, trying to narrow it down to a search state. Because whatever Forrest Fenn's interpretation of what warm waters halt is may completely reside outside of the 4 search states. So why would I try and isolate or tell anybody to just look in a specific state or whatever? Dal Neitzel's done a good job of reminding people that whatever Forrest Fenn's interpretation of what warm waters halt is could reside in Utah, could reside in North Dakota. Who flipping knows? It could be in Canada for all reasons. I don't believe so, but you just don't know. But no, David and I have always said we're not gonna reveal our search state. We were pinned, by a couple, trying to do it for Jay Diggins, and we, David and I both supported Jay Diggins monetarily and through other means to support her. But that's not what this is about, So we're not giving up our search state, folks. One, I've always said that I don't like giving my answers to the clues because I don't want to muddy the waters anymore. There's enough noise out there to try and misinterpret people. I'm not an authority on the chase. Neither is David. Neither is DeCall. Neither is K-Pro. Neither is any of you guys in the chat room. None of us are authority. The only authority on the chase is Forrest Fenn. So why would I muddy the waters and try and mislead somebody else by giving you my opinionated version of the clues or what state it could be in? It's obviously the treasure is where the treasure is, and it's in the Rocky Mountains somewhere. That's the best answer I can give. All right, guys. Well, that pretty much wraps it up. I will be, I really want to do roundtable number 2. I've talked to K-Pro through PMs over on Thor that, we're not going to go into depth on trying to narrow down all the different suggestions that we've seen. I think we're just going to kind of get together and pick one of those. I know there's a lot of people that want us to stick on where warm waters halt, in the first clue. I don't think we need to beat that up anymore. We can talk about some other stuff. There's some, a lot of suggestions. I highly suggest, I'd like to put another one out this weekend and get that ball rolling. But not in a rush with it. We want a good, question to pose to everybody else. I want this community driven. So if you guys haven't already, go over to the Hint of the Riches, or you can put a comment in this below, and give us your idea of what you think would be a good topic for all of us, to put a video out on. and we'll go from there. We'll pick one of those, and then I'll put out roundtable number 2, and we'll go from there. So it's been good talking to you guys. Hope that you enjoy the weekend update. If you've liked it, please give it a like. I appreciate that. If not, that's okay. A dislike is fine, or don't put anything. But I'll always like to hear your comments and suggestions. And, we will catch you all on the flip side. Have a good weekend, folks, and we'll see you later. Oh, wait, now I forgot. Oh, geez, I completely forgot about the whole new content. Yeah, here comes the encore, folks. Guys, I've always wanted, we started trying to talk about what's upcoming for the following week. So I completely forgot about it. I should have hit it on earlier. So tonight, guys, at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, Jason and Sasha will be doing on the Fenn Treasure Hunters channel. They will be doing their Saturdays with Sasha, again, 7 p.m. Mountain Standard tonight. They will be doing that. And then Monday, Toby will be putting out his lineup for the week, and he will have a Tuesday show, a Wednesday show. And then Wednesday evenings, we will be doing the after hours party with the flip side. Trying to work on our special guest for this. I will put a teaser out for that. And then, and it looks like right now, I did communicate with Totally Not Mitzi today. It sounds like she's got everything set up for Wednesday. So we're planning on trying to get her on Wednesday. We've been trying for a while, but some difficulties, the family emergency I've had, and then her trying to get set up. We've been trying to get her in. So we're hoping to get her in Wednesday, to the after party. And then Thursday, Toby will be doing the book club. And then Friday, he will be doing hopefully another iteration of It's All About You. And then his Fandango, whatever. And then we don't know if this Saturday he's going to be doing his live rebroadcast or not, but we'll see. So, guys, that's kind of the lineup for coming up this week until we get, some more Fenn tubers out there that are going to put some kind of consistency into their channels, and try and make their shows more predictable for the viewers, which I think is great. That way you guys can know and you can plan your schedule around it. So that's it, guys. I hope you like the channel again. Give it a thumbs up if you do. If you haven't already subscribed, I appreciate the subscription. And one other thing is, guys, I do have a Facebook group. It is called The Flip Side of Forrest Fenn's Treasure Hunt. I have recently made it a closed group because I am providing some exclusive content and discussions over there. And then also reposting some of the roundtable stuff so people can talk about that. So there is some interesting things and ideas that are floating over there. So if you haven't become, or if you're not on Facebook, I know not everybody is, and not everybody likes social media. That's okay. We're trying to get away from our texting devices. I understand that. But go over to the Facebook, check out the Flip Side of Forrest Fenn's Treasure Hunt. Request to become a member. I will welcome you in, and you'll get to see some of that exclusive content and stuff we're doing there. I'm looking about potentially doing just a Facebook only, show that's just for those people that are exclusively members on there. So something to think about. All right, folks. Again, I appreciate you guys coming out on a Saturday afternoon, spending a little over an hour with me. If it wasn't for you guys, there'd be no reason to do this show. So I definitely appreciate all you guys, and we will catch you all on the flip side. See you guys. Have a good weekend. Bye.